Hey, y'all, welcome back to a chat here where we talk all things zero proof. Karla and I are here, and we are going to just have a conversation with each other, maybe feed off each other a little bit in hopes that we can answer some questions for you guys on what are some of the immediate benefits you see from taking a break from alcohol. And because everybody's experience is so different, we just kind of wanted to touch on some things that we've seen personally, and then also some things that we've seen from members of the Zero Proof Life community that we have. So, Karla, I would love let's bounce off each other if that's
Yeah.
okay with you, and let's just kind of go back and forth. And I'll tell you that one of the first things I noticed, and this is very different for everyone, but for me, my sleep was almost immediately better. It was more quality. I shouldn't say falling asleep was a little bit harder in the beginning because I wasn't passing out, but I was able to stay asleep and wake up so much more like just alive and ready,
Yeah.
especially after about 10 days of taking my first break. How about
Yeah.
you?
Sleep's a big one. So for me, I think for me, sleep specifically, because I definitely have a list of the benefits, but I want to tack on to yours. Because again, mine's a little bit different. It took a little bit longer for me with the sleep. What I always tell people is when we step away from alcohol, as much as we're going to talk about these amazing benefits, just know for some people, it's going to take a little bit of time. We have to remember how long we were drinking. So, how long was I training my body that it was going to get this substance, it was going to get this depressant on board at night? So it no longer produced those natural things like the melatonin, the hormones that our body naturally does at nighttime to help us sleep. It's an adjustment period. So for some people, it's like 10 days. For me, it was a little bit longer. It was closer to a month that my body was readjusting. But I will agree with you, when I did fall asleep, I think mine was more in the falling asleep. Once I fell asleep, I slept beautifully.
Wow.
Um, and I just treasured it. I had no idea what bad sleep was like and what that actually did to my body for so long.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the body's response, that it's we're always looking for homeostasis, and we have trained it for so long to wait for the alcohol, and sometimes our natural response, even when we haven't given it alcohol for a little while, and this is why sometimes it takes everybody's so different,
Mhm.
is that it will continue to throw in that anti um, response to kind of bring balance back, even though we don't need it. So that's one of the reasons it takes people a little bit longer. Or it's just that, and some people I've heard it's taken, up to 6 months.
Yeah.
But for many,
Yes, for many,
yeah,
it's pretty quick. And like you said,
yeah,
that 10-day period can be a sweet spot, 2 weeks. But I'll see in groups all the time where people want a number. They want
yeah.
a
They
number
do.
and they want to know what day. I just give people this visual and I'm like, just picture it's like you have pulled a rug out from underneath your nervous system. So let it have time to adjust.
Yeah.
And also, if you are struggling a little bit initially, just know good sleep is on the way. Sleep that you will I will fight people over if they try and disrupt my sleep because it
Mhm.
is such a gift. It is coming. And just when you see your body in that adjustment period, I want you to visualize that your body is healing right now. It is healing.
100%.
And it
So
is
good.
what alcohol is what threw your body off track. But many times in the challenges that we do, we'll see people around that 10-day mark, maybe a little bit longer. And then they start talking about their sleep and they are so thankful for it. It is a beautiful thing. I want us to do one time. Somehow someone's got to be doing a study out there. But how many times we have people that have those, like you have the Aura Ring, or people have the Fitbits where they're tracking their sleep. what people see, your body's like you see black and white numbers difference on your quality of sleep, your resting heart rate. What people see in these challenges is mind-boggling.
So mind-boggling, the amount of deep sleep people are getting and the
Yeah.
amount of REM sleep, which is so important. And that is what REM sleep is, what we don't get when we are consuming alcohol. Specifically, like that is one of the things that really is diminished with
Yes.
alcohol that people see, because that is where we rebalance our hormone. Anyways, it's a whole, so, but yes, sleep is the thing. The other thing, one of the other things that I saw immediate difference was my morning time Becca was so grateful because the house wasn't left a wreck by nighttime Becca. Nighttime Becca and morning time Becca matched up. And so, like, there weren't dishes in the sink, and the kitchen was clean when I walked out to make my coffee in the morning, and I didn't have to tidy up because I had done it the night before. That
Yes.
was like one of the immediate things that I remember going, okay, I can get used to this.
I love that. And I will say that was definitely an immediate for me. I actually came up with this hashtag when I first got on Instagram, and I still love it because it just hits home with me. And I said it was my mornings are finally bright. Because y'all, my mornings were dark. My mornings were just I would dread the morning. I would dread the morning when I was drinking. And it was because my anxiety. I would wake up at a 10 every morning, and it just consisted of me. I remember waking up and just wondering, how am I going to get through the day like this? Like I've got it. It was a fight to even just think, how am I going to get through another day? And waking up. So maybe falling asleep was a little bit hard for me, but waking up, and it's still to this day is such a gift. Whenever we talk in our groups and everything about gratitude, I still every morning when I wake up, 8 years into this journey, I go straight into gratitude because again, I don't feel sick. I don't feel anxious. I'm not waking up with that, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Feeling. Now I need morning time Karla to meet up with Karla, and evening time Karla some more about the picking up that you talked about. I probably need to do that a little bit more. But to me, it was just that physical feeling of not feeling the ramifications of the night before, where we will, and again, whenever we talk, there's always science to back up. That's what I was craving when I was struggling with alcohol. And like, how do you do this thing? How do y'all do this thing alcohol free? And then why does this stuff happen? Well, we're highly like amped up in the morning because we still have stress hormones rushing through our system from our body, keyword balance, trying to keep some kind of homeostasis when we've been throwing alcohol on board that whole evening before. So whenever you wake up in that kind of that 3 a.m., 4 a.m. feeling of anxiety, that's your stress hormones. And it was trying to counterbalance the alcohol that you had been drinking the night before. So there's always a reason for all of those things. I craved the answers to that when I first stopped drinking. I didn't understand.
Oh, for sure. And so now the cool thing is that now when I don't sleep good and I look at my aura ring, alcohol's not on the table, so I can start break. But before the answer was always alcohol. So removing that now allows me, like, okay, like right now I know that recently I've had too much sugar and my body is working really hard to get the inflammation down, and I'm having to be super clean. So it's like, or did I eat dinner too late, or did I exercise too late, or like, what could I have done different when my sleep is a little imbalanced, which happens. My heart rate sometimes is that. So it's like it gives me other options to look at instead of the one thing that was always alcohol.
I love that. And I'm going to take that right because I feel like this was another gift. And you just made it clear for me that it just gave me the words for it. I like to tell people, medically speaking, for our healthcare providers and just for us in general, alcohol muddies the waters around everything.
Everything.
Everything. So you feel horrible, right? But you can't really like figure out what's going on, because alcohol, meanwhile, is causing all of these things to throw us off balance. We are constantly like, I would have my doctors chasing around everything in the sun because they were like, why is this girl feeling so bad? Well, I was not sharing that missing piece of the puzzle about the
Yes.
alcohol that was on board. Because what you said was so beautiful. Now, when I am obviously no longer a drinker, those waters are not muddied anymore. So I can get to the reason why
Yeah.
my body is, why my sleep is off. You nailed it. Because I struggled with that a while back ago. And I remember just being wrecked because I'm like, I feel horrible. I don't know how I lived like this with lack of sleep for as long as I did. Really mimics a hangover for me. When I have no sleep, it just really throws me off. But then I could get straight to, okay, what did I do different the day before? What is going on with my body? For me, my hormones were off. And so I got the answer. And then guess what? Sleep was right back to normal because
Yeah.
I was able to get to the root of the issue. Alcohol throws people off. I mean, because another thing when we talk about the physical things, how many people have you seen in the groups that we coach in come off blood pressure medication,
Oh,
come off
so many.
come off of anxiety medication? And again, I want to stress, I'm not saying that some people still are, but I'm just saying, and that's perfectly fine. I always
But it
say
opens the door. It
it
opens the
opens, thank
door
you.
for a
Yes.
conversation with your
Yes.
healthcare provider.
Because I promise you this, alcohol is not helping that situation whatsoever. And
Ever.
so it cleared that field for me of when my body is off, I then can get straight to what's actually going on instead of it being so murky and so off, because alcohol is throwing everything off kilter.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
On to this kind of goes in the same category, but another thing that I took away almost immediately when I decided to go alcohol free for a period of time. Who knew it would be this long? But I was getting ready to I was 48, and I was so low on confidence
Mm.
because I broke the promises to myself so many times that almost immediately, I kid you not, it is like a light came on behind my eyes. I would have clients say, "What in the world has changed about you?" And I was so emboldened almost, not even, that's not even the right, I was so empowered
Mm-hmm.
um, and emboldened by keeping just this one promise to myself of going 30 days alcohol free.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take much. Man, I knew like once I got to 1 week, I was like, holy crap, look at me go. And it was like, I just stood taller. So I noticed that about myself immediately. Now,
Yes.
that didn't, I did many 1 week stints. So I knew the potential was there, but it took me a little while till I got to the point where I was like, okay, I made it 30 days.
Yes.
So I want to preface with that, but you can notice small changes in yourself even with 1 week.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And I had a great conversation with a group one time, and we were touching on exactly what you're talking about here. And it was about making ourselves small. We were always in the wrong. Like it because of what we had numbed out the night before, we weren't confident in our behaviors, our actions, what we had said. We were always wrong in the fight. We just made ourselves small and didn't, no, wait a minute. And owning like, wait a minute, I do know exactly what went down. Okay. But
Yeah.
it was a confidence that people were talking about. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I felt the same way. And again, early on.
Yeah. Very early. Yeah. Cause I mean, it doesn't take much to understand that we have that personal power. I take that back. Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
It's different for everyone. like it's something that kind of waxes and wanes and it, comes and goes. And there's that push pull and that constant opposition of forces where sometimes it feels really easy. And then sometimes it's like, wait, where'd it go? And
Yeah.
we have to find
Right.
it. But those are the moments that again, being alcohol free, just one of the benefits of it. Another one was, oh my gosh, Karla, I know that I'm not alone in this, but I would watch TV shows or pretend I was going to study my work. Okay. And then like, what was the point? Because
Right.
I would literally be like, did I watch this? I mean, I know I watched it because it says continue watching, but I don't remember any of it.
Right. I'm talking the same with me. I actually started reading books. So
Yes.
it wasn't like one paragraph in for whatever, but just the gift of, yes, watching things and actually knowing exactly what happened. But really for me, it opened up the world of books. That world was shut out for me for so many years because I'm like, wow, what am I going to read? And when I would go to bed at night, I would just kind of pass out. So there was no reading. And it's such a beautiful gift of being able to disconnect and getting good books. And definitely if you're at the beginning of this journey, get ready because you will
Yeah.
have the time and the wherewithal to be able to watch and read and do things that you kind of pretended to do before.
100%. And the brain fog lifts.
Yeah, oh
You
yeah.
don't even realize it. Like
No.
I now I'm like, holy cow. Like
Right.
it's just so I can't even explain it, but it's like I didn't even realize how much brain fog was there
Yes.
until it's not.
Yes. And this goes on to this moves in beautifully with another gift that I think is immediate, and that is the gift of time.
Ugh,
I cannot tell y'all how much real estate alcohol occupies up in your head. And then you don't know until you walk away from it. I had so much more time on my hands. I mean, I
yeah.
had so much more time on my hands. The evenings, and being productive during the day, I almost didn't know what to do with it at the beginning. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But the gift of time and the amount then when you keep on this journey and walking away from it, it doesn't occupy that space anymore. And
Yeah.
that is an amazing gift because we're all constantly saying, if there was more time in the day, and
Yes.
it gave me that gift.
100%, 100%. And my coach, years ago said to me once, like if energy was money, if time was money, how would you spend this? Put it in perspective for me. If your time was $100, how are you spending that $100? And
Mm-hmm.
also, not to mention that, you know, and it can be uncomfortable to have that much time on your
Oh
hands.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the hard part. That is the hard part of it is having that kind of time on your hands. And then what do I do with it? So one
Yes.
of the things that I gifted myself was my daughter did pottery for her senior project. And that was several years ago, and I did it with her and it was so much fun, but it was a great way to fill in some time with something productive. And
Yes.
but it is so true. It can be uncomfortable, but man, the things
Yes.
you can accomplish.
Yes. And some gifts that I've seen in groups, and I know you've heard of these too, Becca, and there's never a dry eye when people really share these beautiful moments. And this is just the gift in the beginning of that phone call from their child that they have to go pick them up. And they have this realization that they have not been drinking and they can go get them.
Oh my gosh.
That
Perfect
it,
example.
they it is like this, you can't the gift in that is just really hard to explain, but even just saying it, people get it. I heard that this woman one time, and I'll never forget it. I told her, I was like, I'm always going to share this with people. She said, when I'm buttoning my son's coat in the morning, I no longer shake.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
just, the tears, and she just, because those are the things those are the things that you don't think about, because so many, it's been for so long shared of, one day at a time, this hard thing, this dark journey of becoming alcohol free. Y'all, it is filled with these
Yeah.
gifts that
Yeah.
you have no idea, that those
Yeah.
little gifts that you just didn't realize how much this thing has been weighing on you. And to be able to be there and be present for your family when they need you, you can't put a number on that, on the gift that brings.
For sure. And we've touched on some really larger scale, but there's tons of little gifts in those larger ones like you're talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
just for your kids being able to rely on you,
Mm-hmm.
like when people get that phone call and when people or your kids are they know that you're going to remember what you talked about. I've heard many times, like, yeah, mom, remember we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean hormones later down the line won't give you a little brain fog, but we got doctors for that.
Right.
But, it's just like all these little gifts, being able to check off your to-do list for
Mm-hmm.
people. Like, I don't have to hide the bottles in my recycle bin.
Mm.
Um, you know,
And those
uh,
things, let me tell you, those things carry a lot of weight with them because it's
yeah,
got shame wrapped all up in it. And
yes,
so that's why there's not a dry eye in the room when someone shares something like that, because it hits that point that, a lot of times we don't want to talk about those things,
yeah,
because it just carries shame along with it. And that's where we want, like, shame can't live in the light where we're talking about these things. And it's just the truth. And to
yeah,
me, it's just what alcohol does.
yeah,
And it's just what it brings along with them. And at the end of the day, alcohol is just really dang predictable. So it's what it does to
absolutely
all of
is.
us. So just, if you're listening, you're not alone when it comes to, the hiding of certain things, or the inability to go pick up your child when they needed you. Things like that. Just know it's very real.
Yeah,
But it really is the beautiful, beautiful gift of stepping away from it,
yeah.
can bring you.
Yes. And y'all, in closing, I just want to say, you know, um, this is different for everyone. And
Mm.
I really would love if you would share in the comments
Yeah.
uh, that the things that you've noticed, like it doesn't have to be big, it can be small, kind of like, the nighttime Becca and the morning Becca syncing up. It feels like we're on the same page here. So, what are some of the things that you have noticed? And the benefits that you have reaped from taking a break from alcohol, whether it be 30 days, a week, a year, 4 years,
Yeah.
whatever that is, we would love to know. And so we can put it in our collection of things to be grateful for.
Yes. And if there's something else you want us to talk about on our next chat, just let us know. Drop that in comments too. But thank you for hanging out with us today.
Bye, y'all.